Okay, we are going to start with the critical reasoning class now, and we are going to look at what we did last time and move ahead on the questions of critical reasoning. Just for those guys who are listening this recording for the first time, it's a series of 100 hours online course. This class is focused toward the problems of critical reasoning. Our focus here is on the GMAT English, which is quite different from what we speak. So, and we are trying to build up the intuition, the logical power, and the critical reasoning and analytical logical power which is required to do the questions of critical reasoning. Okay, we'll start with the question number 40th now. Now it says that dental researchers recently discovered that toothbrushes can become contaminated with bacteria that cause pneumonia and strep throat. They found that contamination occurs after toothbrush have been used for 4 weeks. For that reason, people should replace the toothbrush at least once a year. Now, which one of the following, if true, weakens the conclusion? By weakening the conclusion, okay, now before we start anything, we need to observe what is the PAC model and separate out the assumption and look at some of the assumptions. And weakening the conclusion means it should go against the conclusion, and it should point out the weakness in the assumption. So this is what we are looking for. Okay, now one of the assumptions that they have made is that they have said that can become contaminated after and that causes pneumonia, strep throats. Okay, they found that contamination usually occurs. So for that reason, people. Okay, now one thing which might look for common sense is that these things not occur when we don't watch them, and the strep throat and pneumonia will only happen if the person is already suffering from that thing. Okay, so this is like some very weak, conclusion. Hey Sebastian, welcome to this session. Okay, yeah, let me transfer you the mic and hey Yoshi. Okay, we are looking at the critical reasoning. As we have been talking, it's about the CPA model in critical reasoning, and just before moving to the options which can confuse us, we should separate the assumption from the conclusion and premise. And just after we read what we are required to do, we should put a sign near the, like if it's weakening the assumption, then we should put a sign near the conclusion that this thing would just go against the conclusion. Okay, so that would make things easy for us. Otherwise, we'll get lost in the option. Okay, so we are going to look for the CPA model and put a sign close to this CPA thing so that we just remember the direction which we have to go. So question number 40 says that dental researchers recently discovered that toothbrushes can become contaminated with bacteria that causes pneumonia and strep throat. They found that contamination usually occurs after toothbrush has been used for 4 weeks. For that reason, people should replace their toothbrushes at least once a month. So this is their argument. Now, in the critical reasoning type of question, we have to keep our mind quite open and look at all what things can happen. Now they are saying that they might be contaminated with pneumonia and strep throat, but how would they be contaminated if just you are using that thing and you don't have any issues of pneumonia or strep throat? Then there is no good logic to believe that it will contaminate you, because the contamination of these things cannot come from the other persons. Or it might be possible that your toothbrush is lying close to to a toothbrush of a person in your family who is having a strep throat or some kind of a problem, and or some kind of a viral infection, and then only this thing might happen. So they're assuming a lot of things, that all the toothbrush are kept in the same box, and some of the, so these are the things, yeah, we can assume them, and that's fair enough to assume. Okay, and but the problem in the critical reasoning is that after we join a party, we have to stay in the party. For example, if you are in the ruling party and ruling party commits some mistake, then you are still going to defend that mistake. That's what is the pillar of law. Those who study law, they have to defend their case in like in any situation, whether it may be right, it may be wrong. Okay, we talked about this in the first classes as well, that we have to after reading the type of question, we have to join a party, and that's our job, to stick to the party. And these kind of arguments are required, because when you go in a discussion and you represent some party or your company, and there is something which the other company gives against your company, or the media gives against your company or your job, then you should have that critical reasoning to stand in spite of knowing that there is something wrong with you. Okay, so just keep this in mind, that after joining a company, after joining a side, after joining a party, we have to defend it for whatever reasons. Okay, so this is an assumption that other family members might be contaminated and all these things, but who knows that this goes right. They're assuming that it might be, if a person lives alone, then how would his toothbrush have viruses of other people? So that's a kind of wild assumption. And the other assumption could be like, will he be if those things are from himself, like he is sick, then will he get contaminated again? Like will that thing go in a cycle? So these are the kind of assumption, and we have to weaken this assumption. So we have to destroy the assumption, and we have to go against the conclusion that people should not replace. Okay, and that's our job. That's a position which we have to take, because we are required to do so. Okay, so it's not about the question of ethics or morals or what is right. We have to defend a case, or we have to destroy a case, depending on what we are asked to do. Okay, let's look at the options. The dental researchers could not discover why toothbrush contamination usually occurred after toothbrush has been used for 4 months. Okay, this goes against the conclusion that they were not able to discover one of the reasons. So how can they say that you just replaced those? So let's keep this for a while. The dental researchers failed to investigate contamination of toothbrushes by viruses, yeast and other. Now this is a kind of thing which goes out of score. Who cares about virus? Our problem here is to replace the thing. So this is not the kind of thing which we are looking for. The dental researchers found that among people who use toothbrushes contaminated with bacteria that cause phenomena of stitch, the incidence of these diseases was no higher than those who used uncontaminated toothbrush. Okay, now they are talking about something good here. The dental researchers found that among people who use toothbrushes contaminated with bacteria that cause phenomena strep, the incidence of these were no higher among the people who use. This makes sense, because it says that even if you are using contaminated, it won't be an issue. So this seems fair enough. The option D says the dental researchers found that people who rinse their toothbrush thoroughly in hot water and use and after each use were likely to have contaminated toothbrushes. I think this goes out of the scope. We don't care about this thing. All issue is that it should be it should break down the assumption, and it should go against the conclusion. Okay, the dental researchers found that after 6 weeks of use, greater length of do not correlate high number of bacteria presented. We are not bothered about 6 weeks. We just want to know whether we should change the thing after 1 month or not. Who cares what happens after 6 weeks? So and when there are some reasons given to do that, so we don't care what is 6 weeks. So we are left with A and C, and the A says that the dental researcher could not discover why toothbrush contamination usually occurred after toothbrush had been used for 4 weeks. We don't care I think this one, the best option here should be C, because it refutes the assumption, and it also breaks down the conclusion that you should change, because it's saying that even the people who had contaminated, the cases was no longer than who were using uncontaminated toothbrushes. So C is the most closer. Hey Ankit, welcome to this session. It's on critical reasoning, and we are solving the verbal review, the official book. Tariq Hayat, are you giving the GMAT? And if you are giving, when do you plan to give the GMAT? Just type in the chat box. Okay, I tried to update some of the things in the sentence correction file. Let me talk about that thing. Okay, yes, sir.
Yeah, just a quick comment. No, I thought also that it was C, because I thought there was the conclusion that it was the most, I don't know, powerful. Oh well, okay, replaced. I think there was the most powerful conclusion against the last conclusion in the sentence, because in C, I thought that they were comparing, for example, that specific case about contaminated toothbrush that can become contaminated. Sorry, because they say that can become. They're not officially saying that they are, but they're just saying that they can become. But they are comparing it with real life. They're saying that it doesn't matter. They can become it. It can become. I'm saying, for example, it can or it cannot. They're not saying that it can always come. It's like the same thing with real life cases without any toothbrush. People can or not become contaminated with pneumonia, because they're saying that on C they're saying that the incidence of this disease was no higher than among people who use uncontaminated toothbrush. So they're basically comparing it, and there's really not a high. With C they're saying that it could be this or it could be that, but eventually it doesn't matter if you have a toothbrush or don't have a toothbrush. You can have pneumonia even if you don't have a toothbrush. It's like, I don't know, maybe real life that unfortunately you can come with pneumonia. So that's just my quick comment. Back to you, and you can tell Hankit what we are going to review in critical reasoning. Okay, back to you.
Okay. Yeah, I made some changes in the critical reasoning slide. Let me talk about those parts. We have been talking to solve critical reasoning about three aspects. One is the grammar, where we search for one of the 8 types of error. One is be very sure that it means the same thing what it is meant to mean. So if it changes the meaning, it goes out. And at the last we look at the idiomatic way. So this was like the 3-step methods which we are using. And in the type of errors I'm looking for, I just expanded the list, and okay, yeah. One aspect is about the ambiguity that some of the options create. That's another important thing to look